Good morning. Welcome. Can you hear me? Yeah. Do I need a mic?
No. It's good.
That's fine. So we have 6 classes. This is how the planning is. We have become a little bit more aggressive and we have taken 2 texts. One is this text, another is called the Beatitudes. This book is not in our bookstore, but you do not need to order it right now, but have it if you can for your self-study. So the classes would be, I will speak on this book, I will take the first class and the last class. And Srinidhi Baba will speak on Beatitudes, few chapters. Swami Chidrupananji will speak on Beatitudes, few chapters. And Sarvatmanama will speak on one chapter of this, which discusses about the different bodies.
Could you say the name of the book?
The name of the book in Sanskrit is called Atma Bodha. Atma Bodha. Atma Bodha. We will discuss about what it means. And in English, this is written by Acharya Shankara. How many of you have heard of Acharya Shankara? How many of you? How are you? You are here. How many of you have not heard of Acharya Shankara? Okay, so we will give a little introduction, and this is an explanation by Sri Guruji, a little bit more lucid, more simple, very nice to read. I am also reading myself. So you see, if you look at our lineage, Babaji Maharaj, as Guruji said yesterday, is considered as a Kalpa Yogi. Kalpa Yogi means the great masters comes for a period of time. So we don't have much description about him. We actually don't know how does he look actually. Lahiri Mahasaya used to put a Om, symbol of Om, to remember him. In truth, when we remember Babaji Maharaj in our meditation, we should remember him as Om or divine sound or consciousness. That is. So this picture was a drawn picture, as most of you might know. Lahiri Mahasaya was a householder. So Yukteswar ji was a householder who became a monk afterwards. So if you are a householder and you want to become a monk, please feel free at certain time. Make sure that you take Baba's blessings before you become a monk. And Sanyal Baba, I have a very deep love for him. Baba tried to become a monk, could not become a monk because of some family thing. And then you see on this side, Paramahansa Yoganandaji, Swami Satyanandaji, Sri Gurudev and Sri Guruji are all monks. So the monk tradition or the monastic tradition is part of the ashrama, the 4 stages of life. The first stage is oriented to learn. Second stage is orientation is to live a family life or engage in social activities, secular activities as we can say. The third stage is where the withdrawal and social activities become half-half, you can say. So we are withdrawing, gradual withdrawal, and also at the same time taking care of the family. I will come back to that. And the fourth one is where we try at least physically to withdraw from the secular activities. That is the objective. In a very rough sense, the division is 25 years. So 0 to 25, 25 to 50, 50 to 75, 75 to 100. But it is not, there is no set rule as I understand. So basically if somebody says, okay, I will withdraw when I am 75 and Then 75 comes and I am not able to do anything. So it's not. So this monastic path is open to everyone, irrespective of whichever tradition, culture, or religion, caste. There is no barrier basically. And once somebody becomes a monk, he or she cannot maintain a barrier also. In Kumbh Mela in 2013, I met a monk. Officially or traditionally there should be no barrier, but the barrier exists in a cultural sense. So those monks who hold one stick, they are considered little above than those who don't hold stick. We are supposed to hold sticks, our tradition. For convenience and instruction from the masters, we took the stick and then burn it in the fire. That was what we did. But we are officially to hold the sticks. So I met one monk. He was a little bit angry. Not elderly, but maybe in its mid-60s. So I said, Maharaj, what happened? Anything happened? He actually entered a place to get food. In Kumbh Mela, there are free food. It's called Bhandara. And you can go, and if you are a monk, no question asked. If you are like a householder, regular person, then they will not ask you, but you have to wait till the group sits in. So he is hungry and he has gone in to get food, and they have told him that you have to wait till the stakeholders eat first. He became very, very upset. He said, even after being a monk, there is still discrimination. I can't tolerate it, and saying that he was angry. So fortunately I was not holding a stick, or I would have been angry on myself. So we walked a little bit together. I asked him about where does he live, how he manages himself, like that. But nevertheless, that is the monastic tradition. This monastic path, like becoming a monk or withdrawing from secular life and dedicating ourselves to meditation and self-reflection, or in another word, God, as I said, it open to all, and it has been there. As we know, it has been there as a system for thousands of years. But it became a little bit disoriented. And as you know, if a structure is not there, there are advantages and there are disadvantages. If a structure is not there, then we can do anything we want. So we are free to be creative. But also we can create havoc in our life, isn't it? If there is no structure. Think about it, like we will have, so for example, we have a class. Class means I have studied a little bit, I am going to share with you, and we will have a conversation. But suppose we will say that in retreat, you study yourself. So some of us will study the whole book, some of us will not touch it even, isn't it? So structure helps, it has its limitation. For most of us, the structure helps, most of us. But some of us who are here may not help. So pick whether you are here or you are here, our own pick. So an Acharya came, his name is Shankara. He is called Adi Shankara because he is the first Acharya, it is considered. So Adi is not his name is Shankara. Acharya, the word Acharya means a great master. It's given, I mean, I cannot stand up and say that since today onwards I am an Acharya. You can't do that. So Acharya is that person in the tradition who has given interpretations to 3 texts: Upanishad, the Bhagavad Gita, and Brahma Sutra. These 3 texts. It's called Prasthanatrayi, and he or she, Acharya can be male or female. must give a interpretation very unique to himself, and then only can be considered as an Acharya. So, anyway, it is believed that he was born, historically it is said 800 AD, 800 AD around, but from the monasteries he founded, we get information that he was born somewhere around 300 BC. So, that is, the traditionalists believe that he was born 300 BC according to the calculation, because in monasteries the name of the Acharya is there and it is said how many years the Acharya lived in the monastery. The current Acharya is living for 40 years, before that 25 years, like that. If we calculate, we see that Shankara, Adi Shankara was born around 300 BC. Historically they say 800 AD, does not matter. He propounded a philosophy called Advaita Vedanta. Now, Advaita Vedanta existed. He put forward with a little bit more clearly and with better logic. So, he consolidated all the monastic traditions and created the monastic order by 10 names. So, for example, you have names, you have last name. Similarly, all the monks have a last name. So, there are 10 last names. So, we call ourselves monks from Shankara tradition. So, us, our teacher Sri Yukteswarji onwards, all the monks are Shankara traditions. But there are other monks from different traditions also. They follow their own path. And there are also some monks, and it is not recommended to us, they just decided on fine morning that I will become a monk, and they become monk. And there are fake ones and there are great ones also. So, if you, there was one monk who came to United States. He is the second monk who came before Paramahansa Yoganandaji came. His name is Swami Ramatirtha. He came in 1902, 1903. He became a monk like that. He just threw it and became a monk. So, Adi Shankara wrote some texts which are preliminary texts to it is said to study Vedanta, but it is more of a text for us to self-analyze and see whether as a seeker, when I am taking a path, whether I am grounded in my proper foundation of my understanding or not. I am not carried away by the mob or the movement. I am not carried away by emotion, and my seeking or my path must be properly resting on a foundation that is created by none other than me. Makes sense? Is it clear? And this is the text, I believe, my understanding, the text helps us to build. Another text that would help us to build the foundation for practice of yoga is Yoga Sutra. So, this is the premise of the text. The text is very small, I think 68 verses. You must have heard a word called moksha. How many of you have not heard the word moksha? 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 No? How many of you heard the word liberation? Now, I would ask this question, and this is a question I am asking all of us, including myself. How many of us want liberation? No, let us say, how many of us don't want liberation? So, we are all seeking liberation at least. Anyone who is seeking liberation is called mumukshu in Sanskrit. Mumukshu is the word. Seeker is the one who is seeking. Suppose I am seeking gold, I am a seeker of gold. Suppose I am seeking sunshine, I am a seeker of sunshine. So mumukshu is a word that is mentioned anyone who is seeking liberation. Now that we have established that we are all seeking liberation, which is your word, not mine, the question arises that why and from what? Why we are seeking liberation? Let that be not a word that we heard from where and then we say, okay, now I seek liberation. Why we seek liberation? And from what we seek liberation from? Is that something you would like to analyze and answer? You go to a doctor and doctor says, hello. He said, doctor, I want medicine. He will ask two questions. First, from what you are trying to get out of, like what kind of pain. Second, what kind of medicine you want. Like there must be some proper guideline, understanding. So if we ask these questions to ourselves, from what we seek liberation from and why? I would like you to think and answer as we go. Please feel free. We have no boundary, like we have to finish this book because we are not going to finish this book anyway. But through this we'll enter into the text. Anyone would like to share? Please feel free. I will also share why. Yes.
Get off the wheel of samsara. Samsara, the constant suffering.
Constant sufferings you want to get liberation from. And liberation to part of the reason. So I want to get out of sorrow. That's the whole thing. Get out of sorrow.
I want to love God in every breath and remove my ignorance. I'm not able to do it. I want to remove that.
No, fine. Come back that this question is being asked by your son, who has never heard the word ignorance. Ignorance is a very powerful term, please remember. A 5-year-old is asking. You are telling about moksha, mumukshu and all kinds of things. Why? Would we say, what would we answer? And that is the answer we would like to discuss today. Something very simple down to earth needs no explanation further. Think about it. Ignorance is not a word I will use for a 5-year son, right?
Happiness.
Huh?
Happiness.
Happiness? You want to get rid of happiness? No, like get rid of what? Liberation from what?
Pain.
From whatever is keeping us from
Liberation from pain. Fine. What else? I mean, that's fair. That's actually very simple. Very simple. Liberation from pain is a very simple statement. Anything else?
Self.
Self? Liberation from self?
Yes.
Please explain.
I find that I am the one that places the limitations upon myself.
So liberation from limitedness, basically. Is that what would you say?
Everything and anything is possible to attain and experience.
So I do not want to be limited, and that is what I want to get out of. That's what.
To know your Satchitananda. To know
No. Satchidananda is not. You are not going to
to know your essential nature, because this is Maya.
Fair. But that's not what we are going to tell to a 5-year-old, right?
Oh no, not for the 5-year-old.
5-year-old.
Anger.
Get rid of anger. Fair.
Isn't it ignorance? You mentioned ignorance before. I mean, aren't we ignorant because we don't know why we exist? So we're trying to find out why we exist.
Oh,
We're trying to find our way back to God.
No, that is definitely, but that understanding has come because we have studied something. Now let's go back where we have not studied anything. What exactly we want to get rid of? It's very actually simple. Please think. It's very simple. We were outside yesterday. It was very cold and raining. And you could see that what is happening. 3-4 people were there, like 10 people. We were all gathering near what? That tall heater. We are getting rid of what?
Cold.
Getting rid of cold and getting what? Warmth. Now analyze this. Getting heat. But is this heat we want? If you go to India right now, we don't want heat. 43 degrees Celsius, 43. I was at a friend's place for one night, and he had a bed for me. He was sleeping on the bed. The fan, the ceiling fan, was right on the top of him. He was generous. He said, "You come to this bed, I'll sleep in that bed." I said, No. I'll sleep here. At night I got up, sweating. I'm literally like 2 feet away from the fan, sweating. It was so painful. I analyzed. I tried to wipe it off and I'm not able to sleep. Then I went and slept on the floor. What did I want to get rid of? Discomfort. So you see, this is actually the basic thing, my understanding, and I request all of us to analyze further if it is possible, that every one of us would like to be liberated from discomfort or what we call as pain. It could be physical, it could be mental. What else it could be? What are the other options? Emotional, mental, we can club together as mind. There is another one which we can club as part of the mind. We can also separate it, which is that I am mentally fine. Spiritual, but what is spiritual pain? What is your understanding of spiritual pain? Think about it.
Separation. Separation.
No. For example, a pain you are going through, not philosophy. There is a pain where I am going through. How would I categorize as physical, mental and spiritual? That's the question. Physical pain is very clear. Cold outside, I need heat. Mental pain is very clear. That you came and shouted at me, misbehaved in me, very clear to me. How do I categorize another pain as spiritual?
Unconditional love.
No. That doesn't answer the question. The question is this. Suppose you are in pain. And we have 3 categories to choose from. Physical, mental and spiritual. Which pain you would categorize as spiritual? That's the question.
Like introducing a new discipline.
Lack of knowledge towards the path, which has caused a confusion and assuming that this is the, preconceived notion.
Spiritual pain, my understanding is the limitedness Natsi mentioned about. Limitedness. I am always limited. I am not able to expand. So I want to love you. I truly want to love you. I have a deep desire to love you and I can't love you.
I don't know how to, or something.
Yeah. I truly want to be peaceful, content. Then I am not able to. Not that anybody is giving pain. Everything is fine. Nobody is telling me anything. But somehow I am not getting that contentment, that fulfillment, satisfaction, whatever we call it. I think that probably we can categorize as spiritual pain. But nevertheless, every one of us, we are trying to continuously get rid of these 3 pain, whichever way is available to us. Would you agree with that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Now tell me one thing. Would you find anyone in this world, at least start with human beings, who doesn't want these three pains to go away? Anyone who would find that, oh, I'm happy with this pain.
Lazy person.
Huh?
Lazy person.
Lazy. No, he's pained by something else. Sometimes we take small pain because the big pain we want to avoid. Suppose let us say that we are outside, it's cold and we need warmth. That's one pain, that it's cold outside. But suppose as soon as you come inside, then we have to meditate, do certain number of pranayams. If it is painful, suppose, then I say, no, I would rather hang around there. So we calculate which pain is more something I can tolerate, I can take. So there is a word called devil and deep sea, right? Which one I will pick up, like devil or deep sea, depending upon, if I know swimming, maybe I'll go to deep sea. So we can fairly conclude, there is one caveat I will tell you, but we can fairly conclude that every one of us is trying to get rid or get out of that pain. Physical, mental. If we categorize another as spiritual as well. Is that something we agree? So, would you find anyone who is not a mumukshu? Would there be anyone who will not be mumukshu, who is not seeking for liberation? No.
What about an asura?
Asura?
Yeah. They're not seeking liberation, are they?
They are seeking,
A demon?
demon seeking liberation in one way or the other. Liberation everyone is
Are they
seeking.
seeking liberation
It's just that the methodology is different. That's what we are going to check.
by causing suffering?
One time Guruji said, he said, peace at any cost. Peace at any cost. Look at the power of this statement and the confusion with this statement. Peace at any cost. I'll give two examples. Example one, suppose it's cold outside and we are all sitting here, each one of us have a blanket, suppose, to wrap it up. Peace at any cost, I am not peaceful because my blanket is not holding my warmth. And I am strong. I go and give a slap to you and take away your, and I am in peace. Cost transferred to you. So peace at any cost. The cost to whom is important. Because I can transfer the cost to you, right? The teaching is not that. Peace at any cost is that. What the master say, like maintain peace even if it is sometimes you have to go through some difficulties. This is called titiksha or tolerance or forbearance. These are the words. Titiksha. Titiksha means I tolerate so that I am not losing my peace of mind. So tolerate so that you can remain peaceful. That is the statement. So peace at any cost is not my peace at the cost of you. So we very well conclude that everyone is seeking liberation from the pain. Everyone. The pain we can categorize as physical, mental and spiritual, if we would like to say that. So everyone can be called as a mumukshu. This is our basic understanding we start with. Then we will refine it. So far we are clear? Now, we said that, right? There are three kinds of pain. Physical, mental and spiritual, we can let us say for now. How do we get rid of physical pain? Mahamudra, he said that physical pain.
Addressing it directly.
Addressing directly, very simple. The questions are very simple actually. Physical pain, I am cold, I need heat. I will go to a place where there is heat, there is warmth. Or I will get a blanket. Or I will go to sun. I am hungry, physical pain, I will seek food. So, physical pain is something we are all familiar, we try to achieve it mostly by something we call as material achievement. Clear? Material achievement. Through material achievements, we fairly address our physical needs most of the time. Some of them, for example, I am having a knee issue, there is nothing much I can do. Like I tried knee replacement, this, that, but it is not working out. So, some cannot be addressed, but most of our physical pain can be addressed by material achievement. Make sense? Not all, it is not a generalized statement, so take it with. What about mental pain?
Meditation.
How do you think about it? You came to know about meditation at certain age of your life, 15, 20, 30, 40, different. Till that time, you had some mechanism to address the pain of mind pain, right? How? Suppose you are feeling lonely, you go and watch a movie, very simple. Switch on the television, go for a walk, and if you are in this beautiful area like Denver, you go for a hike. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Suppose I see that you have a better car than me and I feel a pain inside me, which we call as jealousy. Then what do? I go and buy another car or live with that pain if I don't have money. Either way. So, the mental pain also we have certain mechanism. Not all the mental pains can be achieved by this mechanism, but fairly we have found ways to address mental pains. But think about this. Anger, she mentioned about anger. Anger is actually a methodology we use to reduce our mental pain. Think about it. Why do you get angry otherwise? No. When we get angry, we unconsciously try to reduce it is a different thing that we cannot do that. But the reason we get angry is that you have given me pain, I must give back some pain to you, thereby I will get some peace. I actually use anger so that I would actually be at peace. That is my misunderstanding, unfortunately, but that is the way I work. Otherwise, why would I get angry? Think about it. Suppose you come to know that as soon as you get angry, then something bad happens to the health. Suppose as soon as we get angry, the body will burn, the whole body. Suppose you come and shout at me. And I will suppose, as soon as I become a little bit angry, my body will start burning. Will I get angry? Because then this pain is much more higher than the pain I am trying to reduce. So, even anger also, when we become angry or we shout at others, we are unknowingly or sometimes knowingly trying to reduce my pain within me. Think about it. It is open for analysis. It is not a statement to be taken as is. So, we have figured out different mechanism inside the mind to address the pain of the mind. Fair? So, physical pain we have some methods to address, mental pain also we have some methods to address. Then what is the problem? If you have figured out a way to address the physical pain, if we have figured out a way to address the mental pain, then it is a fair statement that we have fairly taken care of my pain. Then what is the problem? What is the problem, do you think?
It doesn't end. Like those
Another
pains,
period.
the
It doesn't end first. These are self-analysis, that it doesn't end first. Second is that I see my ability to address this pain in a continuous fashion is also limited. So, example, suppose you have found a way that as soon as I feel little lonely, I go to the mountains and take some stride, walk around and find pain, and can reduce. And people do that. Fine, good. You got a job transfer to Chicago. No mountains. Flat land. What do you do? If you have taken pleasure out of observing mountain, then that possibility is no more there. This is one scenario. Second, suppose the body becomes unavailable. Then what do I do? I mean, these discussions happened thousands of years ago. We can say, I don't care, I can just watch television. And these days I saw in Adrenama's home, there is bicycling, you are doing biking and you feel like as if you are going on a street. I will do simulated hiking. So the availability of the organs, the availability of the object, the possibility to connect these two, these are the three things, right? The object must be available, I must be available, a connection can be established by me. So any one of them can go wrong at any point of time. So a seeker, this is the difference between a mumukshu and another person. So yes, in a very basic sense, everyone is a mumukshu, but then as we refine it, we see that a mumukshu is that person who has analyzed this, that yes, I have tried to get rid of my physical pain, mental pain by different means, but the more I look at it, the more I analyze it, I find that my ability to continue doing this is limited, and it is very fragile, very fragile. Inefficient is that I can increase my efficiency by through other means. Fragile means it can break down anytime. Baba was telling yesterday. Baba loves reading, as we all know. Suppose I love reading and I find, Baba said, I love books. I read one French philosopher, I forgot his name. He was giving a talk or a discourse in one big gathering, thousands of people, his fans. He comes home and he tells his attendants, he said, please don't disturb, I am going to be with my friends. And he went to his library. So, but suppose I am not able to read, eyesights have gone bad. Possible, right? So a mumukshu has started analyzing this now, that the methodology or the path that I am taking to fulfill my pain or take me out of pain, is it something I can sustain, or is it always would be a fragile mechanism? Make sense?
It seems like people outside have figured out a lot of means to keep this thing stable, using different combination of different activities
Yeah.
or drugs. It seems like people have figured out outside to keep this somehow stable and also not fragile.
Yeah, up to certain extent, but the analysis, the moment you analyze it, you see the fragility starts with the body itself. That can never be addressed. I mean, we address as much as we want. The fragileness of the body, that the body can die at any point of time or can disable at any point of time, cannot be addressed at all in whatever means we can take. I met one young lady recently. She is a veterinary technician, very young, 29 or something. Everything was going well. She was making good salary. He was working in office. The vet had a stroke. Vet had a stroke. And he is disabled now, partially, some issues. He has closed his office. Now, what the vet would do now? What kind of mechanism the other person can create to address this? How much? So this continuous understanding that the fragileness of this body and the fragileness of this path to get out of pain is something the seeker analyzes vigorously. This is where the seeker differentiates between an ordinary mumukshu, if we call them as mumukshu, and a true mumukshu, we can call it. So everyone is seeking to get out of pain. A seeker is seeking not only to get out of pain, but to understand that this pain is not going to come back and push me again to do things, and knowingly that at certain point of time my ability to address this pain would not be there. Make sense? This is actually a very pure difference. If this has not happened within us, then we need to start analyzing it. This is where many people ask, what is the difference between a worldly life and a spiritual life? You might have heard. Oh, you are living a worldly life. And you look at a monk, he says, oh, he is living a spiritual life, or other way around. You are meditating, you say, I live a spiritual life. And then you tell your friend, you live a worldly life, or vice versa. The only difference between a worldly life and a spiritual life is this. The worldly person, even if it is me, even if it is all of us, we are seeking to address our pain through this material prosperity or material means and some mental means. A spiritual seeker, while trying to fulfill that through this material means and mental means, also analyzing that what can be done to make sure that there is a fundamental resolution of this problem. This is the difference. Does it make sense? If this idea has not entered, then we need to vigorously analyze and get into that idea. So this is what Adi Shankara is telling. Tapobhihi kshina, and I will give the meaning of these words, and whatever analysis we put, foundation we put, please apply on the top of it, this one. Tapovihi kshina papanam shantanam vitaraginam mumukshanam apeksha ayam Atma Bodha vidiyati. He said, I am going to tell you, Atma Bodha means knowledge, Atma means self. So Atma means self knowledge. What is self? Is a question to start asking. So to start asking self, that this is myself, this body itself, this mind itself. To start with this premise, and then further refine it and see whether this body itself statement holds true or not, the mind itself statement holds true or not. This is how to go, not to jump into that, okay, self is something, not the body, not the mind, but to go through a systematic process. He says those who are mumukshu, seeking for liberation, they have some characteristics. They are shantanam, they are maintaining peace. They are vitaraginam, that means they are not constantly hankering after goods. Why? Because they very well know that these goods are not going to give me fundamental resolution of my problem. For them, I am going to propound this book text for knowledge. Now think of this. You have some pain in the body, stomach pain, stomach ache, very simple. You go to a doctor and the doctor says that you must come every week and take pills from me for your stomach ache. How pleasurable that statement would be. Would it be pleasant that you go a doctor every day, every month or every week to get a pill? So you would seek that, is there a mechanism where my stomach ache would not be there at all? That's a simple thing, right? So then I will seek another doctor. So this doctor will ask you, well, let me first find out what do you eat? What do you eat usually? Oh, I eat this food, that food, that food, that food. He said, why don't you change your food habit a little bit and see what happens? Suppose you change your food habit and you found that the stomach ache is gone. Wouldn't that be a better option? Or I am happy to go to a doctor. How many people feel happy to go to a doctor? No. I mean, we go to a doctor when there is pain. We go to doctor also to do this annual checkup. But generally these days doctors are not there in annual checkup. Right? They don't come. So he is telling Shantanam. That means a person must, after self-analysis, must come to a proper understanding of clarity that I must choose this path of seeking where I am not addressing my problem in a patchy manner. Shantanam, Vitaraginam, that I am not hankering after objects knowingly that the objects are not going to give me fundamental joy. Fine to seek for objects if it is giving me some fulfilling my needs. I am hungry, I take some food. I am hungry, I am taking food is one statement. I am getting joy out of food is another statement. The second one is being discussed, not the first one. While doing the first one, if the second one comes as a byproduct, it is fine. I am taking food and food is tasty is fine. But when I seek tasty food, that is where the problem statement can be mentioned. So he said that only if you have analyzed this mechanism or analyzed this, done your self-analysis, that fulfilling my physical pain or addressing my physical pain, mental pain and spiritual pain cannot be done through these means that I have approached. There should be another approach, and for that I must prepare myself. Then and then only we become mumukshu or seeker. Now, in the very early I asked how many of you are seeking liberation. Now my question is, how many of us think that we are seeking liberation or not seeking liberation? So thank you very much that we are all seekers of liberation. We will spend 5 minutes. If you have anything to share, something relevant to this subject, our discussion, please feel free. This is the starting of the text. I wanted that the foundation, whatever we can to put. Then my class is at the last. Then I will share in summary what he has discussed. So if you have something to share, otherwise we will do the conclusion. Yeah.
Like if I analyze my life, there are moments where I'm seeking liberation.
There are moments we are not seeking.
And yes.
Yes, that is true. That is because we are in the middle. That's why there are seekers of lower grade, middle grade. I think there are 49 grades of seekers or something like that. No, wait. 3 into 3, 9, 81 grades of seekers, something like that. So we will fit somewhere. But definitely the highest grade seekers, they don't care about that.
They hold the sticks.
Huh?
They hold the sticks.
Not this. Anybody is a seeker. Yes.
I have
The stick,
What does that really represent in terms of your mind?
I have heard that it represents discipline.
Sorry?
Discipline,
Discipline.
yes.
Okay, great.
And also represents from a yoga tradition the spine.
Okay. Other question is, in the bookstore, there's this beautiful laminated lotus with Hariharananda in the center, and each petal has a quote from him. And I loved one that I read today, and it's in alignment with what you're teaching. And it's something like turn emotion into devotion.
Mm.
And I was wondering if you had any thoughts to share about that for those of us who are one foot in the world and one foot, seeking liberation. This is I'd like to hear from the Kriya Yoga path.
Turning emotion to devotion, I have analyzed it. Sometimes I feel these words the Gurus use to create a churning. Let's look at devotion as it is. Devotion is actually dedication, my understanding is. This is not something unknown to all of us. There are people who serve the masters and in a physical way completely unknown to Gurus that they are serving. Like the Gurus don't know physically, in a practical sense, they don't know that the person has done anything. I know quite a few people and I bow to them mentally many times. They would come, they would take care of the ashram, cleaning, organizing, everything. As soon as Guruji comes, they are like 20 feet away. No, not nearby. Not nearby at all. In fact, they will bow down after like 15-20 feet away. No interest that the Guru should know that I have done something. No interest. There are people in Chicago, here I have not met in a very continuous way. In Chicago I have met, there are people who are comes to ashram every week for meditation, every week, unless they are sick or emergency, every week. You will talk to them, no word of meditation come from their mouth. You talk to them, they will talk about bicycling, this, that. So devotion, I heard from a teacher, he said, love and devotion, this is what he said, love and devotion, the more you express, the more you lose. You don't express, he said that, it is said. You should express it internally, express it inwardly. So there are inward expression of love and devotion, it's called tears. What is this called? When these stand up, hair stands up, goosebumps, palpitation. These are sign of devotion that the devotee is going through. He's not expressing, he's not, he's crying, but he's silent. He's not going. Emotion is the other aspect of it, I think, where we need to express. You haven't told me that you love me. That's what we say, right? You must express your love to me. In devotion, expression is probably very, not completely rejected, but very, it's not significant, yeah. Yes, we have a few minutes, yes.
Okay. So it sounds like from the first verse that is the saying that where this teaching starts is you've already decided there's nothing that you want.
No, not nothing. That I have started my analysis. Yeah, I have started my analysis. But I am somewhere in the middle. It's not that, well, I nothing I want. It's just that my analysis has started. And hence, I am very careful, I am cautious.
So does that imply there's a qualification?
Qualification that analysis must have happened. Or analysis must be happening. Let me correct myself. That this analysis has started happening in me. So yes, when I am seeking something, I am analyzing. I am aware that it's not going to give me constant joy. or constant contentment. Hence, I must be prepared for it. May, with the blessings of God and Gurus, we do self-analysis and we understand, we realize that contentment will not come from achievement. Om Tat Sat Om.